Hi everyone. After another break, and it's not intentional, I'm back with a series review of Psych, which is now streaming on Netflix. So it stars James Rodriguez, Dule Hill. It also stars Timothy Muntzman, Maggie Lawson, and Corbin. I forgot his last name, but he's from LA Law, by the way, and he plays father of Sean. So Sean Spencer is a guy who's very smart, and we see the story begins with him in his childhood and his father trying to train him to become a cop because his dad himself, who's Henry, is a cop, and he wants his son to grow up to be like him. And that's where the story begins in season one. So there are 8 seasons of the show. It took me a while to get through them, not because the show was bad or anything, but it's really good. But it's 8 seasons. It took a while for me to get through them, and even though I thought of doing a mid-series review, I decided not to and wait until the end because I wanted to see where the show actually goes. What I love about the show is that even though it's about detective, murders, cops, they have kept the show very light, very to the point. It does not get too gritty for the most part. There will be some episodes in the later seasons, especially, where it gets a little gritty, it gets little bit more emotional. But the show itself is kept on a very interesting, light note, dealing with complex issues, but in a very interesting and a unique way. I don't know how else to put it because I'm watching it and I'm enjoying the show and they're still dealing with issues. Like Sean, for example, he's this inherent adolescent who does not want to grow up, but he's super smart. And the show begins with him rushing into his best friend's office, played Gus by Dule Hill, and he wants to open a detective agency because he's going to pretend he's a psychic who can see things, imagine things, and resolve cases, which is actually what he ends up doing. But the reason he does that is because not that he is a psychic or anything by any chance, he just is really smart, very observant, and can think through different scenarios and see what makes sense and what would work best. And he ends up solving a lot of cases that way. But because he's not really a cop, he cannot get involved by coming up with an excuse where he ends up lying and meets with these detectives, some of them who hate him, but some of them who like him, and they become this really interesting dynamic between each of them. So, and the comedy is to the point. Sean is funny, smart, immature, but really good at heart. His complicated relationship with his dad begins with him growing up, and we learn why he's the way he is because he doesn't get along with his dad. But then he learns the truth about so many things that happen in his childhood and how he becomes closer to the dad as well. We learn about his mom, what happens with his mom. He starts dating in season 5, I think they start dating his colleague, uh, played by Maggie Lawson, who actually is somebody who he ends up marrying in real life as well. So they're dating in the show, and then they eventually get married in the show as well. In real life, sorry. And the show does get serious sometimes. There are some villains who come back to haunt Sean and Dule, and how they deal with that dynamic is very interesting as well. And those episodes do get a little more serious, little bit more involved. But I love the way they kept the comedy in each time and the way they inserted comedy because it's not forceful comedy. Well, sometimes it is, but a lot of times it's organic, it's natural, it's a situation, which I love. The show is really interesting. We have so many interesting characters. I love Chief, played by Karen. She was amazing. Timothy Emmonsman playing as Lassiter is hilarious. He's kind of like a great character, but he's really good. And so the show is really interesting. I did find, even though Sean, because he's immature, even though he's smart, sometimes that did get in his way in terms of he became a little bit. Sometimes I felt like, okay, you're overdoing this a little bit. I did feel that, especially in the later seasons, because he was growing with the character, but his immaturity still came back a lot of times, and it wasn't too bad. But the actual character who annoyed me more than Sean's character was Gus's character, because Gus in the beginning of the show is more of a, sensible guy who keeps Sean in place, who keeps Sean focused. But as the show went on, his character changed and he became more annoying. He became more irritating to me, at least. Like he's focused on food, he's focused on women in the middle of a case, and it just didn't feel organic sometimes for me. And I felt his character could have been so much better, but they made him a little bit more irritating, at least on a personal note. That's just how I felt. I would love to know what your thoughts are. I was very surprised, and I want to talk about this, is that the show was not marketed properly in Canada. It just wasn't. I never even heard about the show. What I did know was that James Roday, who was in Million Little Things, which I watched the show because of David Quintanillo from Grimm, and I found his character, who completely stole the show, by the way, because I started watching the show for David, but towards the end, I was so for James' character, and I was rooting for him, like especially in the last two seasons. Like he literally stole the show. He was amazing, and so when I found out that Psych existed, which I did not know about before, I was it was driving me crazy. It just was, because I was like, how the hell did I miss that? Because James, his character in A Little Million Little Things and Psych are like totally different, but amazing. Like, oh my god, like he stole the show in Million Little Things as well. Like there were so many other center characters, and David Quintel, don't get me wrong, is amazing. But James Roday, just holy crap, he just put the heart in the show and he just made it amazing. So watch Psych. It's really good. It's 8 seasons. It's all on Netflix. Enjoy it. The funny thing was that they have 3 movies released, which again I did not know about. They need to do better marketing, and a fourth one is probably being made. I think it's still going on. I don't know if it's confirmed yet, but I think it is. So I'll do those reviews as well. Watch the show, enjoy it on Netflix, and I would love to know what your thoughts are. And please like, share, subscribe my channel, and thank you so much for watching.